Abigail here with the astrology and tarot of the eclipse in Virgo. This is a lunar eclipse. It is on the 3rd of March, so 3/3 at 11:34 a.m. And it's a south node eclipse. It's at 12 degrees of Virgo. You know, south node eclipses are about release. They are about letting go. They're about processing past life bonds and connections. They are about untangling issues and patterns and recognizing what we have done in the past and what we continue to carry forward. This is also a full moon, and so this is an extra release. I do think we could all benefit in the days around this eclipse, having a good solid cry, releasing things, encourage any cord cuttings or unbindings with these eclipses, just moving through the energy and allowing stuff to fall away. And if you're not ready for stuff to fall away, I get it, I understand. I will just say that eclipses will find you even months later if you ignore their messages. So just weigh in the balance if you want to be dealing with this as you move forward. If the eclipse is already telling you that something is not working, because that is often what they do. They tend to speed up timelines and basically create an effect where something that was already going to happen happens at a much faster rate. And so it can take us by surprise. But the truth is at the end of the day, we would have had to have dealt with this 6 months later or a year later if we don't deal with it now, if we don't accept what something is in the moment. And in Virgo, this is kind of heightened. There's this intense, we're already looking to purify and to break things down and to understand things as like their smallest part. And when that energy shows up, when you already have an issue or some situation or relationship that is not working, the eclipse is like, spotlight, it's not great and it's not going to get better. So I encourage you, if you can, to let go whatever is not working, whether it be a job, whether it be a relationship, which friendship, family, romance. When I say relationship, I mean all kinds. Living situation. Whatever is not working is not working. Definitely look up where this is in your chart. It will be helpful. And if you can't read your chart, which is fine, I would encourage you to get a reading or something similar, especially if you notice that it's touching important planets. A feature of this moment is that it is ruled by Mercury retrograde. Mercury is about 10 degrees away, so not technically an orb, but it is adjacent to Venus. And it does feel as though Venus is like giving us a little pat on the head as it heads towards Aries, which it will enter on Friday on the 6th. Sorry, I've got, whenever I start talking, I always get drainage. I should know this by now. I used to be a singer. But so there is an interesting energy of like being cared for and tended to, but this unraveling and undoing that the eclipses, the Mercury retrograde, or have all been working out on us. And so there will be extra chaos on this day. There will be extra loss. I will say Jupiter is deeply involved. He is sextile this moment. There are several Jupiter trines going on. The Mercury Jupiter trine happens this week. The Sun Jupiter trine happens this week. So there is also an unexpected gift wrapped up, something unexpected. Jupiter will come in and save the day. Jupiter may not mitigate everything, but Jupiter will come in and offset some of this energy. Like I said, we kind of have Venus giving a little pat to Mercury. And so the benefics are active in a moment that feels really chaotic and really off kilter and really as though, you know, we're not going to make our way out of this. It's also a reminder of like, as we release things, we also have things as well. We have hopefully other friends and dynamics and connections that will support and care for us, even if certain other ones aren't working out. There are spaces that we belong, even if there's a space that we don't belong. And even if you don't know where that space is, it does exist in the universe. There is a space for you. There is a place that you exist as a part of community, as a part of the greater whole, as a member of a loving group of people. And I will say this, if you don't have that now, then clear the stage and believe that that is coming in during this moment. Eclipses are very much about belief. There is no way to predict where eclipses will go fully. There is no way to force them to do our will or to do the things we want. Eclipses always act contrary, not necessarily against what we want, but we're not going to get the things that we want in the way that we think we will in the time frame that we thought was going to happen with the people and places we think will be done. It's all out of our hands and out of our control. But I am really excited because it feels like a goodbye, and it is, because this is our last South Node eclipse with the South Node in Virgo. Now, this eclipse cycle is kind of funky because it doesn't end until late winter 2027. Just so you know, we still have 2 more eclipses on the Pisces Virgo axis, and also Leo and Aquarius, that axis will not get a full eclipse season to itself, which is unusual, and we will end up with a triple eclipse season. Hang on to your hats, folks, in summer of 2027. So there is kind of a weird little off step where we're leaving, but we're not quite done. But in this moment, we are done with what we are done with. And so I encourage you to release what you can release as we move forward, as we shift towards this energy of spring, so that once we hit the spring equinox, you are ready to go and you're not holding on to all of this baggage, all of these dead connections, all of these things that are holding you down. I am thinking of doing a past life video because I've had several questions recently about past life stuff. So keep an eye out. I might just post me rambling about it, which is usually how I do stuff. But there's a lot of past life work to be done here, a lot of release, a lot of freeing up your energy from the past. I do karmic remediation, which is basically the removal of past life ties that are no longer required in this lifetime or are just dead and hanging on to you. A lot of us have old energy that we've never just fully let go of, that's no longer functioning. And it is moments like this in an eclipse in a Mercury retrograde where that comes to the forefront and people feel the weight of past connections, not only in this lifetime, but in other lifetimes. And so if you're interested in that work, I would encourage you to look a little more into it. I did have someone ask me recently for references to look up, and I'm like, most of my stuff is talking to other psychics and channeling. I haven't found, and I'm sure it's out there, and if you know any good resources, send them my way. I'm sure there are some good books on it, but you know, I've never felt the need to kind of go through the chaff. Past life stuff is a mixed bag. It can be full of really wonderful stuff and also full of a lot of victim blaming, bigoted, racially charged, ableist bullshit, to be honest. And so I tread carefully with what I take in. So yeah, if you're curious about past life stuff, I might do a video. If you want to see that video, then say so in the comments. It'll encourage me to get my booty moving. But this moment, it's this kind of slow release as we move through 2026 on this axis with Pisces and Virgo. Also, like I said earlier, look up where that is, not just where Virgo is, but where the opposing sign of Pisces is, because this is where all of this has been happening over the past. When did it go? I think the node shifted. Yeah, they shifted last winter, and we'll be seeing them move in July this year. So yeah, it's gonna feel good, but it's not gonna be fun. And I think a lot of past regrets and past relationships, also Virgo is the placement that I associate with, laying in bed at night and remembering that one thing that you did that no one else remembers, but you just can't forget, that one awkward incident that left everyone else's mind. And then you're sitting there being like, oh, it was so embarrassing. No, I'll never live it down. No one remembers but me, and that matters. So there is going to be that recognizing where we have kind of invested in things that didn't work out, where we built castles on a foundation that wasn't fully thought through, where communication has not been clear. I will just say this on this eclipse: people who don't want to hear what you have to say are just not going to hear it. And it's especially going to be highlighted by the Mercury retrograde. It's especially going to be highlighted by this eclipse in Virgo. So just know that those who appreciate you and hear you and understand you and listen to you, regardless of the energy, that will be the case. Those who don't, Jesus Christ. Sorry, guys, and I'm not re-recording this. I refuse. I restarted it twice already. It's just what the Mercury retrograde has brought. This is what I get for eating a Rice Krispie treat before this. Um, Little monster. Um, and so, regardless of the energy, people who do not want to believe you will not. It'll just be highlighted and emphasized during this eclipse. The people who truly do not want to be present for you, who truly do not want to hear what you have to say or believe who you are. I also think if you don't let stuff go in this cycle, you will either let it go in the summer when we have the next one, or in the late winter when we have the next one, 2027. And you can take your time. I tell people this all the time. But if you truly want to get ahead of things, consider releasing some pretty hard stuff and allowing it to flow through. And if you don't know what that is, the eclipse will pull on it. It'll tug, it'll try to take it. And then you'll be like, oh, that's what's leaving. So allow this to purge. Like I said, we do have Jupiter sextile. It's still retrograde. It'll station direct next week. But it is a beautiful support. A sextile is a conversational, caring, problem solving aspect. If you have sextiles in your chart, if you have sextiles in synastry, beautiful, beautiful friendships, ability to understand the other person while not being the same, a deep sense of respect exists in a sextile. And so Jupiter is coming in to support, to offer help and respect. I also think during this eclipse season, we've got some fun little blessings slipping through because we do have the Jupiter trines and we do have Mercury trine Jupiter, Sun trine Jupiter. We're both happening this week. We will have a third one in April with Mercury as well. So it's like most astrology, it's a mixture of like really weird, good stuff, unexpected, and also things we already know we need to let go mostly. Some of you may not be aware, but I think a lot of you kind of already know because we've been in this eclipse season for a minute now, for a year, basically. And so, it's time to let go. It's time to move on. It's time to release the people we need to release, whether it was our choice or not. Also, I find when, maybe we've been the ones who let something go, there's kind of this idea that the person or the in whatever situation who moves on for like who breaks the bond, that they are no longer connected. When what I often find is the person who has the bond broken with them is very aware of the hurt and very aware of the process, and therefore they put a lot more effort into healing a lot of times because they know that they have been wounded. Whereas the person who caused the hurt often feels guilt and shame, and hopefully it was not like intentionally causing harm. It was just the fallout from a situation. Um, but what I would say is, regardless of who you have been in a situation, whether the one who has ended things or someone else who has had things ended with them or the person who lost the job or whatever, I encourage you to look and be like, where am I still holding on? Where am I still connected to these things that maybe I'm ready to move on from? That maybe it is time to just be like, you know what? I know that I will feel residual pain from this because time doesn't work like that. But I am ready to move on. I'm ready to receive new things. I'm ready to bring something in. I'm ready to push forward and to connect with a future that I don't know where it's going to go. And everything has changed, and that's okay. And I own the choices that I have made, regardless of other people. And I take accountability for the stuff that I have done, good and bad. And now I move forward with freedom and with release. Like I said, maybe do an unbinding if you still feel connected to someone, or cord cutting. Eclipses are good for that. These in and of themselves are not going to end something, but they are a very helpful part of that process, having a ritual for it. They are also a really good divination check-in. If you watch the burn of a binding or of a cord cutting, you can tell how strong that cord is. I know some people like hedge on like one or the other. One is like, oh, this is a literal cutting of a cord, and one is like, no, this is just a divination practice. I settle in the middle. It is the cutting and releasing and like the physical exemplification of like undoing a bond. You can do this with a workplace too, not just relationships. But also watching the burn can tell you whether you're going to have to do it again, whether this is the beginning, middle, or end of a process. Pretty. Ooh, well, I like this. Nice. Jesus. Okay, fine. I'll take it. So, starting off, I pulled this before we got online because I like to kind of like just see what the vibe is. And it is the Magician. I really love this card. There, and considering it's a South Node eclipse, we could be like, that's kind of antithetical to that energy. But I think a lot of us are at the point where we've done a lot of work, we've processed a lot, and now we are ready to release. And what happens is it creates space for the Magician, for something new and fresh and exciting for us to take and collect our creative energy and fire and to invest it in something new. This is the beginning of a new process. It's the beginning of a new eclipse cycle. Um, you know, We've got most of the planets in their sign for the next couple of years. We just have one more left, and that would be Uranus on April 25th. And yes, we have the nodes, but in July, but we are getting to a place where everything is fresh and new, that we're covering fresh ground, especially once the retrogrades are over. And so, oh, and we also, I keep forgetting about Jupiter. Jupiter also moves in July, I'm pretty sure. July or August, I can't remember, but in the summer. So there is something new, something being lit in this season. And I encourage you to be ready, even if there's a fresh wound or a situation that still feels functioning. What would happen if you opened yourself up to the universe and said, hey, I'm actually ready to go? I'm actually ready to heal as I progress. I've gotten to the point where I can function, and now I'm ready to take that function and to move forward with it and to create something new and beautiful, because all loss is some kind of gain, just as all gain ends up being some kind of loss in our little twisted universe. And so I encourage you, like, look at what you have, look at what you can work with during this time. See, like, what is burgeoning within me, what is coming to the forefront, what shift and change can I participate in. Also, we have 2 9s, which I love. And the 10s to me are like collective attainment and achievement and, really beautiful stuff. But in the 9s, there is this, not individualism in like the sense of toxic capitalistic individualism, but like what we have built for ourselves out of what we have been given. And we have this 9 of Pentacles and a 9 of Cups. I think a lot of us have done hard things recently, and we're going to start, as this eclipse kind of peters off into the new moon in Pisces, I think some of us are going to really feel our personal power and see our labor and efforts pay off, our commitment to healthy relationship, our commitment to taking care of ourselves and our body in spite of the capitalistic hellscape we live in spite of the bankruptcy of relationships in this kind of society. If you have committed to stay true to yourself, this eclipse is magic. This eclipse is going to bring some really, really beautiful stuff. So, will there be tears? Yes, we have a Page of Cups. But I think they're going to be tears that we can shift and move through. They are tears that we can activate creatively. They are tears that we can kind of giggle at because, you know, well, some situations are really sad and some people and dynamics are rough to leave behind, there's also a part of ourselves that is now free, that is now capable and able to like be itself and enjoy and have fun, because we have released ourselves from so much, and because we have advocated for ourselves and committed to our own progress and joy and being with and surrounded by a community that loves and sees us for who we are. Yeah, and kind of the final cards for this are Knight of Swords and the Eight of Cups. I think some of us are walking away from something, maybe actively. Maybe this is something that was from the last eclipse cycle. Maybe you're kind of coming to a 6-month period where you're like, okay, I see this. I understand where we're going here. I did the hard thing. I took action. I advocated for myself. I did what was best for me in the situation. And this eclipse is kind of an affirmation of that, proof and belief, and like a show of the Mercury's retrograde. I'm terrified this is going to die on me, even though I charged it. But also thank you ADHD. Welcome to the stage. Um, and this is proof and affirmation that that was right. Now, if you are in a different set of your cycle, this eclipse very well may be you walking away from something and someone. But I will tell you this: these cards are for you to advocate for yourself, to recognize where you are not happy and where you have not been met emotionally, and to believe that there are other spaces and other connections and other places of care where you will find this connection again. Will it take time? Does it require this? Will you have to be the magician and pull something out of a hat? Yes. But it is leading you towards something more fulfilling, more connected, more you. Um, but we do have to take decisive action. We do have to cut things off. We do have to choose a different path. The eclipses will push us to a cliff, but they will not force us off of it necessarily. And so you have to take that choice. You have to decide to move forward and move through this energy. We also have judgment. No, the past lives be screaming. There might be a past life connection that you have ignited, and that person is not. This is for some of you. That person is not ready to complete it. I see this all the time in my work where one person is like, yes, I'm ready to do the work. I'm ready to face challenges. I'm ready to do this with this person, whether it be friendship, whether it be a sibling, whether it is lover or a partner, and the other person is not. You have to pick you in every lifetime. And here's the deal: there are other past life connections out there waiting with people who are ready and are willing to complete the karmic path that you have both been given. So just because that is there's such a strong pull and such a strong connection, it doesn't mean it's the only one. And all of this is based on consent. If someone is not ready and cannot consent and does not want to consent to fulfilling a karmic life path with you, they cannot. And that's a really hard thing to face, especially if you are someone who was raised to enable or overly support other people. But you must choose you in these lifetimes because you are the only thing that you will always have. These connections, they will come and they will go, and you will meet them and they will be beautiful. But you are the main connection. You and other direct ties. Um, the one that's primary is children, but not everyone wants them. But if you have children, that's also your past life obligation above all else. No partner past life connection can trump your connection to yourself or your connection to children that are under your care. So, yeah, it's not easy. It's about release. It's about letting go. It's about believing that as we move into the spring equinox, which Mercury stations direct the day before, that we are headed into a time of creativity and growth. And the last card, the world. This card is about completion and fullness and the circle of things and how patterns and destiny all exist in one place. And this eclipse feels very momentous. It feels like a lot of us are tapping into our destiny. A lot of us are recognizing that we cannot know anything and therefore we know a lot of things. And that ability neither makes us better than other people, but nor does it put us beneath others. And so in this time, I encourage you to embrace yourself fully, to ask your soul what your soul wants, to ask your soul what your soul needs, and if the dynamics and connections you are in are meeting those needs. And you can only control you. You can support, you can participate, you can be within community, but at the end of the day, you can only control you. And so in this moment, it is about tapping into that inner power, that inner desire, stepping away from things that are not fulfilling us. If they are meant for you, they will follow you. Walking away does not always mean never seeing someone again. It just means that you choose a certain path and you're going to stick to it. I'll leave you with these two guys. This is about your soul journey and about the people you need to meet. And I sense for some of you, there's someone who we really want to hold on to. And I encourage you to let them go. Release them back to the universe. If you are meant to fulfill this contract in this lifetime, you will. And it's up to them now. And there are other contracts. there are other people, there are other connections, they will find you. But they won't be able to find you as easily if you are stuck on something that is not in your control. And in all of this, be a little silly goofy, have some fun. This all can get very serious and very heavy very quickly. But at the end of the day, in the midst of it, dance around your apartment, be silly, have a good time, crack a joke, laugh, giggle at a video online, do something fun this week. This you should watch the week ahead video because this is such a dynamic week. We have so much happening, and some of it's really fun in the midst of all of this. And I really encourage you to tap into that because that's how we survive times like this, is finding joy in the work and finding joy in our downtime and existing beautifully in all of this. And by beautifully, I don't mean coiffed and groomed and looking refined. I mean, you know, gracefully in whatever form we show up in. Anyways, my loves, this is a really powerful and potent moment. I encourage you to participate. If you have any questions about spell work and stuff, you can always pop that down below or pop in my DMs or even book a session. But please like and subscribe. It always brightens my day. And, pop a comment in. But I love you all, and I will see you later. Blessed eclipse in Virgo.